Morning, students. Today we will start with chapter number 5, Fundamental Rights, part 2 of our civics subject. Please open page number 80 of your civics textbook. In our last chapter, that is Fundamental Rights Part 1, we had studied about some important fundamental rights which have been guaranteed to us by our Indian Constitution. We had studied about the right of liberty, equality, right against exploitation. Now, in this chapter, we shall also learn about the right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, and we will get familiar with the lawful protection, that is judicial protection, which is available for the fundamental rights. So, the last chapter we studied some fundamental rights guaranteed by the Indian Constitution. We studied the rights of liberty, equality, and the right against exploitation. In this chapter, we shall also learn about the right to freedom of religion. We will study about right to freedom of religion, which means a person is allowed to follow any religion according to his will and wish. Then we will study about the cultural and educational rights, the rights which are relating to ideas, customs, and social behaviors in the society. Then we shall get familiar with the judicial protection that is available for the fundamental rights. So, in this chapter, we are going to get familiar with the various lawful protection, lawful ways with which we get protection in case our rights have been violated. Right to freedom of religion. India, we know, is an important secular country in the world. We know India is a secular country. It gives respect to all religion. All religions are treated equally in India, and a person is allowed to follow any religion according to his will and wish. We have studied it in the previous classes, but you must be curious to know what the Indian Constitution says about it, isn't it? It is included in our right to freedom of religion. According to it, each Indian citizen is free to practice any religion and establish institutions for religious reasons. So, according to this right to freedom of religion, an Indian citizen is free to practice any religion which he wants, and for it, it can establish any institutions for religious reasons. Now, in order to broaden the scope of the right to freedom of religion, two things are not permitted. So, in order to widen the scope of this right to freedom of religion, two things are not allowed in the this right to freedom of religion. One, that the state cannot impose religious taxes that might be used to encourage a particular religion. So, state is not allowed to collect any religious taxes which may lead to motivation of a particular religion. That is, our constitution forbid religious taxes, which means that our constitution does not allow, it refuses to allow the states to collect religious taxes. Then the second point is religious education cannot be made compulsory in educational institutions that receive aid from the state. Receive aid from the state. Aid means help and support from the state. So in case of institutions or organizations, or in case of schools and colleges which are receiving grants, which are receiving aid, which are receiving supports from the state, in such schools, colleges, religious education cannot be made compulsory. So these two things have not been included in the right to freedom of religion. They are not being permitted. One, the state is not allowed to collect any religious taxes, as it may lead to motivation or encouragement to a particular religion. And state, in cases of institutions and organizations in which state is providing grants and aids, in such institutions and organization, religious education cannot be made compulsory. Cultural and educational rights. We know India is a land of variety. In India, we have people of different religions living together, celebrating different festivals. Their way of life is different, their food habits are different, the way of dressing is different. So we know India is a land of diversity, it's a land of variety. We can see that there is a great diversity of festivals, foods, and ways of lives in our country. You may have noticed the differences in the different wedding ceremonies that you attended. Even the various rituals that are performed at the time of wedding are also different in different communities. All these things are a part of the cultures of the different communities. Our constitution has given the different communities the right to preserve their cultural uniqueness. So, our constitution has guaranteed these different communities has given the rights to these communities to preserve their cultural uniqueness. They are allowed to follow the culture freely. According to this right, people are not only free to preserve their own language, script, and literature, but also make efforts towards their promotion. So, according to this cultural rights, the people are not only allowed to preserve their own language, script, and literature, but they are also allowed to make efforts towards the promotion. They are allowed to support activities which leads to spread and promotion of their culture. They can establish institution for the development of their languages. Find out and discuss how many official languages are listed in the constitution. Currently there are 22 scheduled languages in India. Which institutions have been established by Maharashtra state government for further development of the Marathi language? The institutions that have been established by the Maharashtra state government for the further development of Marathi language are Akhil Bharatiya Marathi Natya Parishad, Maharashtra Sahitya Parishad Pune, Rajya Marathi Vikas Sanstha, Akhil Bharatiya Marathi Satya. The next block here is omitted. Right to constitutional remedies. Now, what is this right to constitutional remedies? In case a person person's fundamental rights are being violated, if his fundamental rights are being taken away from him, these rights are being violated, he is not allowed to exercise his rights, then in such a case he can approach the court saying that his rights have been encroached upon, his rights have been violated, his rights have been infringed. In such a case, the court will study about his case, his complaint, and in case if the court is satisfied that in reality his rights have been infringed upon, unfair treatment has been given to that person, his injustice has been done to this person, then the court may give a favorable verdict, may pass a favorable judgment related to that person. So this is this right to constitutional remedies. So in case of encroachment of fundamental rights, the Indian citizen's right to get judicial remedies is also a fundamental right. So what is the fundamental right of the Indian citizen? In case if his rights have been taken away, then the Indian citizen has the right to approach the judiciary for solution. This is called the right to constitutional remedies. This means the constitution itself has provided for legal remedies in case people's rights are violated. So in the constitution itself, it has provided with solutions in case people's rights are being infringed. So it becomes a constitutional duty to protect the right of it becomes a constitutional duty of the courts to protect the rights of the people. Now, so here who is performing the activity of protecting the rights of the people? It is the courts which is protecting the rights of the people. It has become the duty of the court to protect the rights of the people. Sometimes the rights that are guaranteed to us by the constitution may get encroached upon and we are not able to exercise our rights. This is called an infringement of our rights. What do we mean by infringement of right? It is an action of breaking the terms of law. Our rights are being violated. We are not allowed to exercise our rights according to a wish. So this is called as infringement of our rights. In such a case, the unsatisfied person can approach the court and lodge a complaint. The court considers our complaint, investigates it, and in case it is convinced that rights have been infringed upon and injustice has been done to the aggrieved individual, the court gives an appropriate verdict. So in case if the court is satisfied that the person is being denied with justice, there is unfair treatment has been given to a person, then the court will pass the appropriate judgment, it will pass the appropriate verdict on that issue, whether it is in the civil case or in a criminal case. Some instances of infringement of rights. Which are the examples in which rights have been violated? Arresting an individual without reason. Without any reason, a person is being arrested. Preventing a person from leaving a village or a town without giving a valid reason, and refusing food, water, or medicine to jail inmates. These are the basic necessities which has to be provided to the people in the jail, that is food, water and medicines. And if these things are not provided to the people in the jail, then that is also the violation of their rights, and in such a case they can approach the court saying that their rights are being infringed. We will continue with the remaining part of the chapter in the next video. Thank you.